What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my builds guide and unit review of Spring Karla, Bernadetta, Triandra, Ashe, and Michalis. So let us begin with Spring Karla, who's definitely the star of this batch, being the harmonic unit. So she's an Axe Cavalier with Sisterly War Axe as her preferred weapon. This gives her -1 special cooldown, and at start of odd numbered turns, she's able to get -2 special cooldown, which is really great for pre-charging 3 cooldown specials like Draconic Aura or Luna. And if she initiates combat or if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, then she can get +6 attack and speed in the combat and deals true damage based on X% of her speed whenever the special triggers. And this X is going to be dependent on the maximum special cooldown count multiplied by 10 and then added by 20. So for example, if you are going to be running Draconic Aura, her default special, then this is going to be 40% of her speed, which is definitely quite a lot of good true damage. And then she can disable the percentage-based damage reduction skills and defensive specials whenever she triggers her special. So defensive specials here are going to be including stuff like Godlike Reflexes, Negating Fang, Escutcheon, Pavis, and stuff like that. So it is kind of reminiscent of Legendary Nana, where you can actually stop these kinds of defensive specials and also pierce through the damage reduction. But here, Karla does need to trigger her special to actually do that compared to Legendary Nana, who can do it on every single hit. Spring Karla also has amazing offenses at base 47 speed and also base 45 attack, so she's pretty much the fastest unit in the game, and speed creep is just going full speed it seems. So she has got super boon in both of them, and she's going to be functioning really well offensively, just nuking very hard with this kind of special that she can easily pre-charge at start of the map, because turn 1 is the odd turn, so you can immediately have a pre-charge special like Draconic Aura or Luna and just go at it and take out a unit and just retreat with Flow and Trace. Being a harmonic unit, she does have her harmonic skill, which allows the unit from Blazing Sword and Heroes to get -2 special cooldown and +6 attack buff whenever it's triggered, and also the Resonance Blades effect. So this is even better for pre-charging specials, and this could definitely help someone like Flame Tribe Lyn, for example, to just pre-charge her Godlike Reflexes and can run something else for her slot B. So it is definitely really good for pre-charging specials, and it is going to be a really good harmonic skill that could be used in resonant battles and of course in Summoner Duels, where she's definitely going to be used quite a lot. Overall, Spring Karla is a pretty amazing glass cannon who can get the true damage based on her speed and also disable the damage reduction skills and pierce through them, and also even disable the defensive specials, which is quite a lot. So because of that, she's definitely going to be really useful in Summoner Duels as a Cavalier because of her mobility and because of being able to pre-charge a special and also being able to use her harmonic button freely. And she's also going to be useful in Aether Raids offense and even in Aether Raids defense, where she's going to be able to have that pre-charge special to nuke the opponent's units. So overall, a really strong nuke in the form of an Axe Cavalier. Spring Karla's base kit is already pretty good with attack speed Clash 4, Flow and Trace, and Speed Smoke 4, so there's not much you have to do. You can just run attack speed solo and have reposition, and that is pretty much it. And for Summoner Duels, because she can easily go ahead and nuke the front liner of the opponents, I would definitely suggest running Luna, and you can also run Pulse Smoke so that you can maybe just get rid of the pre-charge specials on the opponent's team. So that can definitely be pretty helpful if you do manage to hit first and take out their front liner. So Pulse Smoke is always really helpful in Summoner Duels, and she could also be used in Aether Raids defense with Emblem Heroes, where she is going to be the melee nuke, and she's going to be able to function well because she does have the weapon struggle advantage against someone like Brave Dimitri, so that is definitely pretty good. So she can again trigger Luna here, which is going to be really helpful, and her slot C is kind of flexible, so Speed Smoke 4 is not going to be all that useful in Aether Raids defense, so you can definitely run some supportive skill like Goat Cavalry, for example, to just support your other Cav allies. And she could also be run with Gale Force, even though Gale Force kind of doesn't really give you the bang for your buck because you're not going to be able to pierce through the damage reduction or even get the true damage based on her speed. But hey, if you want to use her as a Gale Force initiator, then that's going to be an option because she can basically have, you know, Gale Force completely charged up at turn 3. So that's definitely a way of doing it with her weapon, which does give you -2 special cooldown on the odd turns. So if you want to run her as a Gale Force initiator, that could be an option, but most of the time she's going to be used as a nuke who is going to be run with something like Luna, and then she can just go in and nuke a unit, and then just retreat with her Fluent Trace. Spring Bernadetta is a blue bow cavalier with Bow of Repose as her preferred weapon, so this provides her with -1 special cooldown, and she does have the friendly fire damage just like her winter alt, so she can do 1 damage to herself and the allies within 2 spaces if she's at full HP. And at start of combat, if she's not at full HP, then she can get +5 to all of her stats and also debuff opponent's speed and defense depending on the spaces moved by whoever initiated ×2 and then added by 3. So it is pretty much the clash effect, and this can go all the way up to 11 speed and defense debuff on the opponent, which is definitely quite a lot. And keep in mind that even if you teleport, those spaces moved are going to be counted. So it does have good synergy with her escape route 4, and depending on the spaces moved, she's going to be able to get even more effects. So if she has moved 1 or more space, then she can get the damage reduction on foe's first attack by 30%, and if she has moved 2 or more spaces, then she can get the half null follow-up, the offensive version, and also the offensive half of the tempo effect. So she's not going to be getting stopped by the guard effects and the follow-up negation effects, which can definitely make her as a pretty nice nuke. So with this Bow Cavalier ult, she can definitely function in Aether Raids offense for enabling many of the Gale Force strategies that use Wings of Mercy units, and for enabling Vantage strategies because you can just use Ardent Sacrifice or Reciprocal Aid because of the 1 friendly fire damage that she can do. And Winter Bernadetta has been used forever for that, but Spring Bernadetta can also do that and actually function better in the combat because of having the half null follow-up and the half tempo effect, and also being able to debuff the opponent's speed and defense by quite a lot. Taking a look at her base kit, she does have Remote Sparrow, which can give her even more damage reduction, which is going to be stacking with her weapon, and then she brings the tier 4 version of Escape Route. So this can inflict -3 attack and speed debuff on the foe in the combat. If she's not at full HP, then she can enable Canto 1, which is definitely pretty helpful, and then she can move to any kind of adjacent ally within 3 spaces. And if her HP is at or below 60%, then she can move to an adjacent space of an ally. So this is definitely a pretty nice tier 4 sloppy skill, which does have good synergy with the 1 friendly fire damage that she can do because she's not going to be at full HP. Ideally, so she can easily get the Canto 1 effect and the teleportation out of this skill, and then also use it if she takes damage further, so that is definitely helpful. And overall, Spring Bernadetta is going to be a pretty nice utility unit who can function well in the combat, and is definitely going to be helpful in Aether Raids offense for the shenanigans that can be enabled by her friendly fire 1 damage. If you have seen my Aether Raids videos, then you know that Winter Bernadetta pretty much does the same thing, but here, Spring Bernadetta does have better offenses than her, definitely with that base 47 speed and also base 43 attack. If you want to build her up, then there's really not much you have to change. She can function with that Escape Route 4, and because she can get the Canto 1, even after teleporting, she's going to be able to retreat with that Canto 1. So you can just run Reposition and Blade Session, and of course, if you want to spend a premium fodder on her, then Deadeye is going to be the best option because she does have -1 special cooldown, so Deadeye becomes a 2 cooldown special, and because of the damage reduction out of Remote Sparrow and her weapon, it's pretty easy for her to survive the retaliation of the opponent and then trigger her Deadeye, and thanks to the half tempo effect, she is not going to be stopped by the guard effects. And if she's going to be used in Aether Raids offense, then she's definitely going to be used with Wings of Mercy. So there you can basically get the max debuffs out of her weapon, which is definitely really good. And she's basically going to be used there as a utility unit for enabling Wings of Mercy strategies, and then just, jumping in with Wings of Mercy and taking out a unit, or smiting away or repositioning an ally. That's why Wings of Mercy 3 is the skill that you're going to be using if you are going to be using the friendly fire 1 damage for the shenanigans in Aether Raids offense. Spring Triandra is a colorless mage flyer who is a refresher with that Frightful Dream, and she's got Nightmare's Egg as her preferred weapon, so this can give her +3 speed, and if she refreshes an ally, then she can grant them the foe penalty doubler status effect, and also to the allies that are within 2 spaces of that ally target. So foe penalty doubler is something that we have seen out of Panic Smoke 4, so she's basically going to be giving that status effect and then inflicting panic on the foes in the cardinal directions of the unit and the target ally. So her weapon is definitely pretty nice for the support and for providing that status effect to the allies, and keep in mind that foe penalty doubler can stack up with the Plagian weapons and the Vulture weapons, so it is definitely a pretty good support to be run with those kinds of units, and she is definitely going to be providing some amazing support with that. and at start of combat, if she's at or above 25% HP, she herself can get +6 attack and speed in the combat. And she's definitely a pretty offensive dancer with base 43 attack and base 46 speed, so she's definitely going to be very offensive with those stats and also super boons, and also quite frail with 18 defense and 18 resistance, so she's definitely there for providing that support and doing a lot of damage herself. She does come with the tier 4 version of a dance skill in Firestorm Dance 3, so if a refresh skill is used, it can provide the following effects. First of all, it enables Canto 1 on the dancer itself, which is really good for retreating, and then it gives +6 attack and speed buff and the desperation status to the target ally that got refreshed. So it's definitely really nice to give like 2 status effects with the desperation and then the foe penalty doubler from her weapon to an ally that can, just be refreshed. And she can also retreat with the Canto 1, so it's definitely a pretty nice skill on many of the dancers, and it is going to be a high scoring skill because of being a 300 SP passive, so it can definitely be used on units like Duopini at +10 merge in Arena, so you're definitely going to be seeing that quite a lot. And then she has got Defense Res Hold as the Slotsy skill. So overall, Spring Triandra is actually going to be a pretty amazing support unit because of the status effects that she can provide with her weapon and also her Firestorm Dance 3. And whenever we get more versions of the dance skills, she can always switch out the Firestorm Dance for that and maybe give other status effects to her allies, which is definitely going to be pretty nice support. And she does inflict the panic as well, and she can inflict panic from a long range, so that is definitely pretty amazing for the support. Triandra is mainly going to be dancing for the support that she can provide, so it doesn't really matter too much what you run on her slot A, but you can definitely run Fury 3 on a budget or even Life and Death 3, as both of these skills are going to be fine on her. And you can also run aerobatics, and you can still, retreat after refreshing because of having Firestorm Dance giving you that Canto 1. You can also invest into her a bit more with Attack Speed Catch 4, which is more offensive, and also running Infantry Speed Tactic. Now, Infantry Speed Tactic is really amazing because she can provide like 3 status effects to her allies, which is the foe penalty doubler with her weapon, the desperation status from her Firestorm Dance, and without even dancing, she's going to be providing the null follow-up status to the infantry allies. So that is really amazing. Now, there's definitely a bit of overlap with the, speed buffs that you can get out of Infantry Speed Tactic and then Firestorm Dance 3, but like I said, whenever we get more versions of the dance skill, it is going to be even better for her because then she can run Infantry Speed Tactic and provide more buffs and provide more status effects to her allies. And speaking of status effects, Ground Orders is definitely something you can also provide for the mobility, and it's definitely going to be amazing for any kind of team. Because she does have a high scoring dance skill, she can be run in Arena at +10 merge if you do +10 merging her with Sea Duel Flying Force, so she can function as a high scoring dancer, and having a dancer in Arena is definitely going to be making your experience a lot smoother, especially when you have got a dancer as good as Triandra who can provide the support. Spring Ashe is the 4-star focus unit of this banner, and he's a red dagger flyer with Bunny's Egg as the inedible weapon. So this is a 12 might weapon that can give you +5 attack and speed in combat, and also 30% damage reduction from foe's first attack. So this is honestly a pretty decent dagger because it does give you the speed, which is really good offensively, and getting the damage reduction is always helpful so that you can survive the combat and then just double the opponent and trigger a special. Offensively, he's going to be very similar to the other units from this banner. It's just that he doesn't really have the premium skills, but he definitely has these stats with that base 46 speed and also having base 43 attack, which does have a super boon. And his defense is definitely not that bad at base 32, and it is going to be workable, especially if you merge him up as your merge project. And he's going to be functioning pretty uniquely because we don't really have too many red dagger flyers running around, so he's definitely unique in that regard. And he's definitely going to be a popular merge project among many people. Now, he does provide attack speed catch 3 at 4 stars, so that can definitely be helpful if you're trying to invest into some fodder from Divine Codes 4. And he also has attack speed rain at 5 star, which he can provide as a fodder. So overall, he's going to be a pretty decent unit who's definitely going to be waiting for an arcane dagger ultimately. With his offenses, he's definitely going to be functioning well with an arcane dagger, so it's pretty much going to be a waiting game. But until then, if you want to build him up, then you can just run him with a budget build by using reposition and speed defense link from a Norn, and you can just run that and get the buffs out of that link skill. But if you're going to be investing a bit more into him, then a Trace skill is definitely going to be pretty nice. And also the tier 4 version of the cat skill, and speed defense rain is also going to be pretty nice here, as you can just get the defense debuff there. You can also run him with Remote Sparrow and actually stack up the damage reduction from his weapon, and that is definitely going to be helping you survive in combat, especially with his defense at that kind of max investment. And a Fortress skill and a Hold skill is pretty much going to be the premium option that you can run on him. Now, if you want to change up his weapon and run something else, then Quarterly Fan Plus is pretty much going to be the option, which does have half null follow-up built into it. So you can definitely try and run that and function in the mix phase by running Speed Smoke 4, and you can definitely get that from a Fallen Lilith in the Divine Codes 4. And Lethality is going to be a premium special that you can run, but it's not going to be all that easy for him to trigger that, especially when we do not have an Arcane Dagger, which can give you -1 special cooldown. And you can also run him with Florid Knife Plus actually. So this is a pretty nice option from Thief Soth that does provide you Canto 1, and you can pretty much run this with a teleporting skill like Attack Speed Oath 4 and still retreat with that Canto. And you can just run something else in his lobby other than a Fortress skill. So something like Guard 4 could be run if you're going to be running Florid Knife. But again, before investing too much into him, definitely try and wait out for the Arcane Dagger, because that is going to be the endgame weapon for him. The final unit from this batch is going to be Spring Michalis, who's the Tempest Trial Reward, and he's a Lance Flyer. So he has got Hare's Lance Plus, which is going to be providing him with +5 defense and attack in the combat, and reduces damage from foe's first attack by 40%. So it's kind of reminiscent of Courtly Candle or Stout Lance, where you can also get the damage reduction, but there you only get the damage reduction if the foe can, double you. Here, you're just going to be getting the damage reduction regardless. I kind of wish though he did get speed from this lance instead of defense, kind of like Spring Ashe's weapon, but oh well, that is pretty much going to be the new inhittable weapon which he brings up. But he doesn't really bring anything else, because he just provides Iode Shield, which we already got from the original Michalis many years ago, and then attack speed Snack 3. So his base kit is definitely not all that popping, and his base stats are pretty much what you'll expect out of a Lance Flyer that's free to play, with high attack, high defense, and then low speed and low resistance. His speed is workable, but pretty much just workable enough for something like Wyvern Flight 4 whenever it comes out, and he's mainly going to be relying on the Arcane Xiang as his weapon at high investments. So that is definitely the weapon that you're going to be seeing him use instead of the other weapons. If you're going to be building up Spring Michalis for a budget build for something like Tempest Trial or Limited Hero Battles, then you can just give him Attack Tactic and run Bonfire on him, and pretty much run him with a budget build. A lot of people have been waiting for Spring Michalis, so if they're going to be investing heavily into him, then Arcane Xiang is going to be the weapon that should be run at max investment or even high investment, and you can pretty much run this kind of very expensive build on him with Attack Defense Clash 4 and Attack Defense Hold with the Arcane weapon, and you can also get Flow and Trace at the same time. So that is going to be helping him, as you can get the auto follow-up out of Arcane Xiang and also retaliate back with Bonfires and also get the follow-up negation. So it's pretty much going to be the best weapon. And you can also run some other things on him like Wyvern Flight 3 for example, and whenever Wyvern Flight 4 comes out, he's definitely going to be able to run that. So it does take in the visible defense and visible speed into the account. So that's why the speed refine is definitely going to be helpful here when you're going to be using Wyvern Flight. So you're going to be able to stack up a lot of debuffs with the Attack Defense Hold and also Wyvern Flight. And you can also run him with Guard 4 actually, and function in the mix phase with this kind of weapon, and also Attack Defense Catch 4. So that's also an option. And the final option is more of a player phase option with Sturdy Surge, as you can easily get that from Divine Codes. So if you want to run a more player phase centric build, then this is going to be an option. Make sure to share this video with your friends if they're summoning on this banner, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like and a comment, helps you tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks down below or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I wish YouTube sub boxes were about as fast as these bunnies, but they are actually about as fast as Michalis. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.